This old radio changed the direction of my entire life. And the strange thing was, when I first saw it, it didn't even work. It was an old 1930s radio, possibly a Philips, though after all these years I can't be absolutely certain. What I can remember is the smell. Old dust, warm Bakelite, aged varnish, and that faint electrical smell old radios used to have when the valves warmed up. Most people would probably have thrown it away, but by then I'd already developed a certain way of thinking. If somehow something had once worked, then surely it could be made to work again. I've lived much of my life by that idea. The truth is, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I simply became curious. And in those days, curiosity could take you a very long way. So I began taking the radio apart carefully, looking, studying, trying to understand what each component actually did. To me, it was almost magical. Voices appearing from invisible waves in the air. Music travelling through space. People speaking from places I'd never seen. And eventually, somehow, I got the old set working again. I still remember that moment. The radio suddenly came alive, lights glowing softly behind the dial, static crackling, then voices, music, signals from somewhere far beyond my own small world. And honestly, that moment changed something inside me. Because suddenly this was no longer just an old wooden box. It had become a doorway. I began listening constantly, anything I could find. Radio Caroline, which felt wonderfully rebellious at the time because it operated outside the official rules. And stations from Europe drifting across the airwaves late at night. I particularly remember Radio Hilversum from Holland. Now, Holland wasn't very far away geographically, but to me, it felt an unimaginably distant place, and that little radio connected me to it. That's difficult to explain to younger people now, because today the whole world sits instantly inside a mobile phone. But back then, hearing voices from another country inside your bedroom late at night felt extraordinary, almost unreal. Then I discovered shortwave radio, and that changed everything again, because now I was no longer simply hearing broadcasters. I was hearing ordinary people talking to each other across huge distances. Real conversations, real voices, floating invisibly through the darkness. And from that point onward, I became completely fascinated by radio communication. Around that time, I'd also made another important decision. After conversations with teachers and the headmaster, I decided I would not be going to college. Looking back now, that decision was made with very little information and probably a certain amount of disappointment. But at the time, it felt final. So instead of moving forward to formal education, I moved toward work, toward practical things, toward understanding how things functioned. And strangely enough, it all began with one old broken radio from the 1930s. I still sometimes think about that old set because without it, my entire life might have followed a completely different path.